Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Slimbarski here. Today to talk to you about the glorious and ever so wonderful seventh chords. Now, what are seventh chords? Seventh chords are basically triads with one more note stacked on top, and it's called a seventh chord because the distance from the bottom note to that top note is a seventh. So here we have the C major triad, and if I add a seventh on top, I get the C major 7 chord. Simple as that. If only it were. But you can also make this a flat 7, and then you get a jazz sounding chord. The C major chord with flat 7. And oftentimes when people talk about a 7 chord, where if you see it in a book, if you saw C7, this is actually the chord that they'd be talking about, where you flat that 7. Now, in your composition quest, I'm only going to ask that you use 1/7 chord as part of your progression. You, by all means, can use more. You can use them for all 4 of them if you want, but you only need to use it for one because otherwise it starts to get a little bit too confusing for us if you're not used to playing on piano. So why would we ever want to use the 7th chord? Well, just listen to the depth of sound that you get when I add that one note to it. Right, I get this grinding note here that's wanting to resolve up. Now, if I played all my chords as 7th chords, you get something like this. Right. And it really becomes this complex sounding machine, but if you do it really subtly, then you'll fit right in with the popular music genre, where they don't try to blow your heads off with notes. Where jazz, they tend to use a lot of these complex, intricate chords to get different sounds that people have never heard before. Now, one thing that you can do when you use the 7th chord is you can actually use less notes if you want. So rather than doing all 4 of these notes, sometimes it sounds just as good if I take out, say, the G, the 5th. And this is just there for support, or maybe I could do this. Right? When you start to have more than 3 notes, the importance of each note starts to diminish a little bit. But the 7th and the 3rd tend to be the most important note, if you're wondering. So you can also invert these. My last video, we talked about inversions. So I could do, instead of this, I could put the C up top here. But this, you got to be careful for. It has this really dissonant interval here, a minor second. So maybe instead I'll put the E on top. Right, so then you can experiment again with all these inversions. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions. All right, take care.